हेलो एवरीवन, वेलकम बैक टू आवर यूट्यूब चैनल सीरीज लॉ के बाद क्या। अगर आप सोच रहे हैं कि आप किसी एक दिन सुप्रीम कोर्ट ऑफ इंडिया में प्रैक्टिस करना चाहते हैं, एंड इफ यू आर इमेजिनिंग योर सेल्फ वॉकिंग कॉन्फिडेंटली इनटू कोर्ट नंबर 1 आर्ग्यूइंग बिफोर द ऑनरेबल चीफ जस्टिस ऑफ इंडिया एंड सीइंग योर नेम ऑन अ सुप्रीम कोर्ट कॉज लिस्ट, बट देन इट रियली स्ट्राइक्स एट आप या तो अभी एलएलबी कर रहे हैं, or maybe you're hustling in the lower courts wondering, how do I get there? What does it take to become an advocate on record? So one of the few who can officially file and plead cases before the Honorable Supreme Court, if that is your dream and you have questions like, is there any set path? Are there any exams? How many years does it take to reach the Honorable Supreme Court? And most importantly, क्या ये सब कुछ worth है? अगर ये सब सवाल आपके माइंड में है, इन दैट केस today's episode of Law के बाद क्या is just made for you. We have with us someone who has been there, done that, and is practicing, and is now also an inspiration for hundreds of lawyers across India. Advocate Pragya. She's an advocate on record at the Honorable Supreme Court. She is LLM from University of Cambridge. She is a name behind landmark cases like marital rape PILs, is here to break down this journey today with us step by step. She is from Delhi University and she has reached from the classrooms of Delhi University to the court bar. Her path is full of lessons and light, and she is done all this just in her early 30s. So we welcome you, Pragya.
Thank you
Isn't
so
that
much.
impressive? And it's a game changing. Thank you for sparing your time. Welcome.
Thank you so much, Kritika ma'am. Thank you for making my weekend good with all those things that you've mentioned about me. I'm deeply humbled, and I would only say that yes, God's been very, very kind by giving me good opportunities, which I was probably smart enough to pick and ball on. Thank you. An honor to be here.
Most welcome. And it's great to have you here on our channel, Pragya. So, first of all, if we just get straight on to, your profession. So, when did the idea of practicing in the Honorable Supreme Court first strike your mind?
Okay, not beating around the bush, and I'll be very, very honest and candid here. I never wanted to practice. I have always been a very good student academically, which means that my grades were very high. I was usually a gold medalist, and in fact, I was one amongst the top three toppers at Delhi University also when I did my LLB course. I was acting smart that I will prepare for civil services, and at the same time, God forbidden, if it doesn't work out, then at least I'll have a professional degree with me in the hindsight. So that was the rationale with which I was operating, but never did once the idea of litigating came across my mind, because I'm damn certain that, oh God, I'm going to become an IAS one day. But like things are destined in your trajectory. Unfortunately, things did not pan out well, and despite giving attempts for 3 years continuously, I realized that maybe this is not the right thing for me. And since a lot of years was already lapsed, after my LLB degree, I kind of started panicking. I was anxiety ridden and I got very nervous that how would I justify these 3 blank years? Because no matter I was giving mains or interview, at the end of the day, I did not make it to the list. So how would I justify these 3 years of gap? And then I took a long pause and I introspected, and I realized that maybe sometimes you just run from an idea that no, it doesn't interest me, I don't like it, I don't want to do litigation, but let me just at least venture and try and see maybe if that's my thing. I've always been a very social person, and for good 3 years I just left social media. I was completely underground, and then I realized that, oh, I am missing out on life. So that's how it started, that okay, I don't have an option, let me go to the court, let me scout and see if this is meant for me. So I had zero idea. I mean, I did not know the L of litigation, and I had never even interned while I was in my law school, because it wasn't mandatory and it wasn't such a big thing at that point in time. So I never interned. So I had zero practical ideas about as to what litigation actually is. So with that sort of understanding towards the profession, I went to Supreme Court on the first day, because a couple of friends said that they were practicing at that time. They said, "Why don't you just come and see and explore?" I went there, and there were some of the lawyers whom and slash politicians whom I used to see on television, and I was stumped to see them in person in their black robes. And that kind of really fascinated me at that stage. I was young and naive, but at the same time excited. So I thought, okay, let me see how it goes. But to be true, I was very, very underconfident at that point in time. So I decided to give myself good 15 days to understand exactly what litigation is. How did I do that? I used to aimlessly go to the courts at 10 o'clock in the morning. The Supreme Court presides usually at 10:30. I found out the entire structure. Where is the chief court? Where are the other courts? How are the courts placed? What is a registrar court? Where is the filing area? Where is the place where you can find the counters? Where is the medical area? Where is the different branches, the admin branch, the SCBA office or the SCORA office? I just made a blueprint in my mind that, okay, if this is the place, let me just practically understand where are these structures are situated. After third or fourth day, I got acquainted with the place. Then I started sitting in the courtrooms again aimlessly, because I did not had even one single matter. I had no idea what is a petitioner, what is a respondent, who stands which side, all these small but very important nitty-gritties of litigation. So once I understood all these things after 8 to 10 days, then I thought that probably now I should start applying. I was fortunate enough to have landed myself a job at the office of a senior advocate, my first and the only boss, because I practiced for 7 months under this senior advocate. He's one of the biggest names in human rights in India. And so I was a designated senior advocate. And after practicing there for 7 months, I realized that it was too quick of me, and I wasn't properly even trained. But probably understanding my own nature, I understood that probably pressure doesn't work too well. And I independently started practicing ever since. And it's been a decade now in the profession. So for good 9 years, I've been an independent counsel. So that's how
Wow.
litigation happened to be.
Wow, that is so interesting. मतलब आपने directly you started with the apex court.
Yes,
You
that's
did
true.
not practice in the subordinate
Trial court,
courts.
which at the same time later on I realized was probably not the nicest thing to do. But at the same time, it gave me the confidence that if you start from the top and eventually go down to lower courts and trial courts, you have an idea about the hierarchy. So when you go to Supreme Court as a beginner, of course, you will not be given an opportunity to argue until unless you have a brief. I was good 24, 25, and my client would not give me a matter at that stage. So I also realized that life would not be very good just taking a passover or probably asking for an adjournment at this stage. So yes, this is a good court. This is the turf court. This is my parent court, where I would again want to come back. But if I have to learn, then I have to go to the trial court. So yes, it was a journey from top court to the lower court, but I never shied away. A lot of people take pride, and they are very happy, and they go gaga about the fact that, oh, I'm practicing at Supreme Court. The reality is that there are very few people who actually practice at Supreme Court. Otherwise, I would not consider taking an adjournment called as practicing at Supreme Court. So yes, people must go to district courts, to high courts, before they venture their journey into Supreme Court.
Yes, okay, great. But then, if we start from the district courts and then go to the Honorable Supreme Court, that is a better option, I feel. But that has to be taken quick decision. Like, you just can't keep practicing in the lower court. So, what is your take on how many years should one practice in the subordinate courts?
See, I'll be very honest here. It's completely to each his own. There are people who are making good money. They've made great names at trial court and they do not wish to venture out of trial courts. So, if
Wow.
that's your comfort zone, if you feel very good about that particular court and you do not wish to step out of trial court, then be that as may. Some people find their comfort at a place, and then we are absolutely no ones to tell them that no, why don't you go to High Court or why don't you go to Supreme Court? Supreme Court at the end of the day is an appellate court. So anything that gets dismissed at trial court or at High Court eventually goes to Supreme Court. The original jurisdiction is very, very limited at Supreme Court. So,
Mm.
if somebody feels that I want to practice across all the courts, then I would suggest that you should give minimum of 2 years at trial court. Then you should at the same time, once you do a trial for good 2 years, you'll have a hack of it. You will understand what is trial exactly, how are things working out on the civil side and the criminal side. Then you may take up matters at High Court, and you can eventually hire a AOR to get your matters registered at Supreme Court, and you can argue there also. So the thing is, for practicing at Supreme Court or for filing a case, you definitely need an AOR. So even if it's 1 year of you in practice and you feel confident that you want to argue a matter at Supreme Court, you definitely can. It's just that the filing will be done in the name of the AOR. So
You
there
are.
is no bar to anybody whosoever. You don't have to clear an exam to prove your worth to come and argue at Supreme Court. There are fresh law graduates with 5 6 months of experience, and they argue absolutely brilliant. So
Wow.
there is no end to it, but I definitely feel that some level of understanding about the trial courts is very, very important, because if you don't know the procedural law, you
Mm.
may find yourself being embarrassed at Supreme Court. There have been senior advocates, I shouldn't be taking names, but they have never been to trial courts, due to which probably they get confused and they do not know when to use the word petitioner, when to use the word complainant, when to use the word accused, or when to use the word plaintiff. So these are
Mm.
small, small things which make a lot of difference. So you go to trial court and then gradually take the ladder step by step. That's what my suggestion is.
Great, great. And also, in your early 20s, you decided to practice in Supreme Court. So, if you reflect back, do you think that it was a good decision? Like you were preparing for UPSC and then you switched, you know?
एब्सोल्युटली मैम, सुप्रीम कोर्ट का पहला दिन मेरी लाइफ का सबसे यादगार और लाइफ चेंजिंग दिन था। आपने जिन बड़े नामों को सुना है, देखा है, आप उनके समक्ष हैं, वो आपके सामने कॉमनर्स की तरह जा रहे हैं। You not just feel elite, but there is another sense of gratitude and strength around this profession. काला कोट हर कोई पहन सकता है, लॉ की डिग्री हर कोई कर सकता है, लेकिन जो एथिक्स और इंटेग्रिटी इस प्रोफेशन से एसोसिएटेड है, वो आप अगर महसूस करते हैं, then this is one of the most beautiful profession, because no matter how much I study theoretically, but like 5 minutes of my argument in a court can help people rehabilitate. उनके घर नहीं तोड़े जाएंगे, मेरी 5 मिनट की जरह किसी का घर बचा सकती है। तो आप एक डायरेक्ट इम्पैक्ट महसूस करते हैं, जो एक अनदर लेवल ऑफ स्ट्रेंथ और पावर देता है। आप किसी के गुलाम नहीं, आप किसी के अधीन नहीं, आप किसी से डरते नहीं है, बट एट द सेम टाइम आप सबकी रिस्पेक्ट करते हैं।
Wow.
That's
And that's how you're also contributing to the society.
absolutely, absolutely.
Great, great. So, because there are so many students out there who also dreamt of, qualifying judicial services or maybe any of the competitive exams, but they are stuck and they're not able to come out of that vicious cycle, and they're in their late 30s or maybe in their early 30s, but वो उसी cycle में stuck हैं, So, what is your message to them?
Ma'am, thank you for asking this pertinent question. I've seen some of the most brilliant minds get stuck in the limbo and losing out the most important fertile years of their life. The 20s, the entire 20s is gone. And after that, you ask questions to yourself that मैंने क्या किया, इतने सालों का लेखा जोखा क्या था। प्रेशर बढ़ता जाता है, लड़कियां हैं तो उन्हें शादी करनी है, लड़का है तो घर वाले कहते हैं तुम्हें कब तक पैसे देते रहेंगे। व्हेन आई रिफ्लेक्ट बैक अपॉन माय जर्नी एंड एज टू व्हाई आई टुक अ हार्ड कट ऑफ दैट, अब वो एक स्टैंड लेना पड़ेगा कि इस चीज का मोह छोड़ना है। सी, I would say it out loud that not everyone can become an IAS officer. And I'm not saying that you do not have the potent or the potential, but the reality is that the nature of exam is of eliminatory nature. So not everyone is able to make it out. It could be your karma, it could be your presence of mind, it could be luck. A lot of factors go into the play. But does it mean that you are good for nothing? You are useless? It's absolutely not like that. So anyone who's probably dwindling around these pertinent questions in life, and you have a self crisis and you feel that मैंने अभी तक क्या किया और मैं अपने घर वालों पे बोझ हूँ, मैं इतने साल का हो गया हूँ, अभी भी पैसा ले रहा हूँ, लेकिन आईएएस बन जाऊंगा तो लाल बत्ती मिलेगी और ये होगा वो होगा. इट साउंड्स फैंसी, बट एक तो हमें अपने आप को थोड़ा डिसोसिएट करना पड़ेगा इस एग्जाम की ओवर इम्पोर्टेंस से. अगर आप ये नहीं बनते हैं तो इट डजेंट मीन्स कि लाइफ यहाँ खत्म हो जाती है. तो आप खुद को भी एक टाइमलाइन दीजिए. हो सकता है आपका फर्स्ट नहीं, आपका सेकंड अटेम्प्ट में हो सकता है आपके पास एज अ जनरल कैटेगरी फॉर एग्जांपल 5 अटेम्प्ट हो, आपने 5 अटेम्प्ट दिए, नहीं हुआ, कुछ आपको ग्रेस पीरियड मिल गया, बट यू मस्ट गिव सम हार्ड डेडलाइन या टाइमलाइन टू योर ओन सेल्फ दैट गॉड फॉरबिडन इफ दिस डजंट वर्क आउट फॉर मी, आई मस्ट reflect. I must ask question to myself that is it actually something that I want to do? Am I doing it in peer pressure? Where am I lacking? Where am I failing? And in case if this is not my strength, then what is my strength? Should I actually work upon that? So I realize that I am a social person, I am a people's person. बहुत दिन तक हाइडिंग में जाना इज नॉट माई थिंग. मैं एक इंट्रोवर्टेड लाइफ एक पॉइंट के बाद मुझे फ्रस्ट्रेट कर रही थी, या मैं बहुत बंदिश में नहीं रह सकती हूँ. तो मैंने रियलाइज किया कि शायद लिटिगेशन ही मेरे लिए बना है. मेरे हाथ पांव यहाँ जंजीर से नहीं बंधे हैं, मुझे किसी का कोई डर नहीं है. तो आप खुद से भी सवाल पूछिए और इस बहकावे में मत रहिए कि अगर आईएएस नहीं बने तो कुछ नहीं होगा. आई एम नॉट डिमीनिंग द सर्विसेज, इट्स वन ऑफ द ब्रिलियंट सर्विसेज जो हमारे कंट्री की जो ब्यूरोक्रेसी है वो रीड है. बट जरूरी नहीं है कि हर कोई निकाल पाए. तो यदि नहीं निकल रहा है तो एक उचित समय पे आपको छोड़ना बेहतर रहेगा rather than losing out the creamiest and most productive years of your life.
Great, Pragya. That's a wonderful message, you know. So, all the students out there in any of the competitive exams, whether it is IAS, judicial services, or even if you are fighting for banking services, you know, so give yourself a particular timeline. And after that, start asking questions to yourself and explore more options.
Right,
So,
right, right.
yes, that's great. So, Pragya, you know, because after you finished your LLB, you wanted to, you know, go for IAS and then you landed up practicing. So, when did you become independent?
So, ma'am, like I said, for a good 7 months, I worked with a senior advocate. And after that, I realized that, I mean, every office has its own work culture. And then I realized that maybe why not explore litigation on my own? I would say that this is an extreme, immense risk that very few people should take. Sometimes I also question myself, even at this stage, because I've never been tutored or guided properly in litigation. I've explored every goddamn thing on my own. It was like, it sounded more fancy because I had two independent matters. I was approached by some clients, and then I took the decision, okay, leave the office, and then, I've got two files, I'll deal with it. But the thing is that to get matters independently is a big task, especially when you're a first generational lawyer, which I am. So I do not have a chamber, I do not have a legacy, I do not have seniors back. I was completely on my own, and it felt like somebody has pushed me in the waters and I was drowning and drowning. So मैं आपको अभी बताऊं तो 10 साल हो गए और मुझे लगता है मैं हर दिन हाथ मार ही रही हूँ. I am a completely private practitioner. I have a complete private practice. I have very few panels, and panels practice is very different. So मुझे formally कभी किसी ने train नहीं किया. जो मैंने सीखा है खुद से trial and error से सीखा है. तो जरूरी नहीं है ये सही ट्राजेक्ट्री हो. मैं बहुत कॉन्फिडेंट थी, 2 फाइल से 4 फाइल, 4 फाइल से 40 फाइलें हो गई. बट जरूरी नहीं है कि ये सबके लिए बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट हो. अगर मैं कुछ रेक्टिफाई करना चाहूँ या इफ आई लुक बैक, आई वुड से कि शायद मुझे 2 साल पेशेंटली किसी के साथ काम और करना चाहिए था. तो मुझे और डिसिप्लिन की या और डिफरेंट ऑफिसेस के कल्चर की पहचान हो जाती। बट प्रोबेबली आई वाज इन अ डायर स्टेज कि यार 3 साल ऑलरेडी चले गए हैं प्रिपरेशन में, कुछ नहीं किया, एंड अभी ऑफिस में मैं गई हूँ और वहां मेरा मोरल बहुत लो हो रहा है। देन शुड आई इवन लीव लिटिगेशन? तो आप जितना भागोगे आप भागते जाओगे। सो आई टुक द डिसीजन दैट नो, आई हैव टू बी इन लिटिगेशन, आई एम गोइंग टू प्रैक्टिस ऑन माई ओन, and it is one of the toughest thing to do, I'll be honest, but it's nice, it's very nice. I'm not dependent upon any season, I'm not dependent upon anyone giving me matters. I don't know how matters come out. Every now and then there is a client who approaches, and you just have to be very consistent and patient in litigation. So yes, it has worked out well for me, I would say.
Great, great. So basically, you have been very consistent and आपने अपने आप को खुद ही motivate करते
I
रहे हो.
try, I try, ma'am. I try to do that. I would not say that there are tough days. एक हफ्ते में एक बार वो dip down आता है. Oh shit, what am I doing? और आपको crisis आते हैं because you don't have files. You have very few. अगर किसी ऑफिस से आप एसोसिएटेड हो तो आपको एक दिन के 4 मैटर लग रहे हैं। मेरे को सुप्रीम कोर्ट में एक दिन में 5 मैटर, सो देर इज अ डाउन साइड टू इट ऑल्सो। बट एट द सेम टाइम आई नो दैट somebody who is working under someone might not get that great opportunity. मैं आज सुप्रीम कोर्ट में अपने सारे मैटर्स खुद आर्ग्यू करती हूँ। आई माइट नॉट हैव टू हायर अ सीनियर एडवोकेट, आई डू नॉट हैव टू टेक anybody's help. So I get the platform, I get the audience, and it's completely my prerogative as to how I present the case. So that gives me immense confidence because I always wanted to be an arguing litigator.
Wow. So I feel if you're mad about or if you're
Oh
passionate
yes,
about
yes.
दीवानगी है अगर
Mad
practice
is the right
करके
word. You have to be very, very crazy if you are in this profession.
yes, yes. Only then this is meant for you.
Right.
Otherwise, yes, it's going to be a little uphill task. Y-
And people who are very passionate, who like hustle, who are okay with the fact that yes, there can be tough days where you do not have a work-life balance because people have a Saturday and a Sunday off. To be honest, there are clients who would just pop out on the 11th hour, and Saturdays and Sundays are the only time where we are actually not going to the court. We're a little laid back, but at the same time, we are drafting. We are getting new clients. We do client counselings and meetings. So there's no Sunday, there is no Saturday. But at the same time, the beauty with your independent practice is that in case I do not wish to take matters for next 4 days, I can request the judge and I can, adjust my timetable. So I'm not under somebody and I can relax and get laid back and probably afford to do things the way I want. So yes, there is a plus and minus side to it both. How you
Yes,
regulate it, it's up to you.
yes. So I know it's like, both sides of the coin.
Yes.
Yes, great. So if I talk about AOR, advocate on record, agar, what is the exact eligibility criteria to appear for the exam? And, can you just break down that for us? Ki kya eligibility hai and what are the steps to reach out for the AOR?
Sure. So, ma'am, this is called as the Advocate on Record examination, Supreme Court Advocate on Record examination. This is conducted annually by Supreme Court. Earlier, it used to be in December, but from past couple of years, we are having it usually in June. So it's usually the second week of June, second or third week of June that these exams take place. The eligibility criteria is that you've got to be a practicing advocate for a minimum of 5 years. So you have to be practicing for a continuous period of 5 years. You have to be registered with the Bar Council of India and any state bar. It's not mandatory that you must have a membership with the Supreme Court, but any bar you have to get associated. Then there is a proper process to it. So this says that it has to be a 4 + 1 years of practice, which means 4 years of continuous practice, and then 1 year of tutelage, which is basically that you have to work under the tutelage slash guardianship of a AOR with at least 10 years of practice. So for
Acha.
this 1 year, this AOR is going to train you. Then they're going to provide you a certificate. So you have to give a letter of commencement to the Supreme Court registry that I've started interning under an AOR with the 10 years of practice. And after completion of 1 year, you have to give the certificate of completion signed by this mentor of yours to Supreme Court registry.
I'm interrupting. Whether it is 5 years or 10 years, 5 years
No,
of practice.
5 years of practice for you, and the person concerned under whom you can practice must be an AOR with the 10 years of practice.
With 10 years of practice.
Yes,
Okay,
a
now I
10
understand.
years standing practice of an year. So you have to do internship under that person. But for you,
Okay,
5 years. So it's 4 + 1 years. Once you get
oh.
this certificate and Supreme Court accepts it, then they give you a permission, they give you the admit card, and then you can attempt this particular examination. So there is
Mhm.
no cutoff as to, there's no attempt as such. There are four papers, Supreme Court practice and procedure. Second paper is drafting, third paper is ethics, and the fourth paper is leading case laws. So these are
Mhm.
the four papers that you have to prepare. Usually the exam is back to back.
Mhm.
The funny part of this exam is that, like most of the people, they end up writing exams per se after their masters. After LLB, a lot of people go into litigation. At max, some people do LLM and then they start litigating. After
Mhm.
10 years, when you are giving exam, 8 to 10 years after college, you forget how to write. I mean, you leave the practice of studying. You do not have a sitting habit. You do not have a habit of writing. And, we all are used to using laptop. So this
Mhm.
exam might not be a tough exam, but it is a test of your strength, your resilience, and how persistent you are. And anyone who's a active practitioner will find it cumbersome slash arduous to actually find time with practice and then write the exam, because there are many people who go on leave, they take a 1 month break, 2 month break. Some people prepare for a year. I did my master's after my LLB for good 3 4 years. So again,
Mhm.
I became a student. So I was in a kind of habit of writing and practicing. And then I decided to attempt this paper. So writing was nevertheless a big task for me, although it gets taxing and you do get tired. But the biggest issue was that my matters were getting listed on a regular basis. So how do you
Mhm.
actually find time to study? That was the most toughest thing to do. So I can recall my exam started on 12th of June and was on 12th, 13th, 14th, and 15th June continuously, way back in 2022. And I had matters listed until 10th June. After that, there was summer vacation. So until 10th June, I had to go to the court. And once you go to the court, it's easily 4 p.m. Then there is
Mhm.
pending work, then there are other clients, then you have to do the filing. So how do you actually find time? That was difficult. So what I did was that for good 3 months, I was just listening to all the AOR interviews. There's a lot of study material which is available very much on the Supreme Court AOR examination website itself. So you
Mhm.
can pull out those papers. I actually went the reverse osmosis process. I looked at the question papers for last 5 years, started doing it, try to understand what's the pattern, what are the most preferred questions that Supreme Court is fond of asking. So I went that way, and with that, by the end of the year, I had a good compendium prepare, a good kind of like small leaflets I used to prepare. So in the end, you don't get a lot of time to read a lot, so I eliminated what not to read rather than what to read. And I was
Mhm.
smart about it. And touchwood, I made it through my first attempt. So,
Great.
yes, this is how it is about the
So
exam.
your resource was only the material available on the
No,
website.
no, there were a couple of other materials as well. There were a lot of online videos, audios. There's a list of landmark cases that is provided by Supreme Court that you have to, for example, there are 83 case laws. So 83 can get actually a lot when you have to literally cram it, prepare whether there was a dissenting judgment, what was the ratio decidendi, what was the obiter of this case, how many judges
Mhm.
were there. So it can get really, really complex. So what I actually did, so Supreme Court Registry and the Advocate on Record Registry conducts 8 lectures, 4 lectures by the Supreme Court Registry and 4 by Scora. So those lectures were very important. I like really learned, imbibed, and made notes of it while those prominent lawyers were giving lectures. And
Mhm.
I realized that out of 83 case laws, probably 50 were the most important ones. So I
ये
left
83 cases कहाँ पे हैं? मतलब you got
83,
it.
सो हर साल बेसिकली सुप्रीम कोर्ट लिस्ट ऑफ केसेस का एक कंपेंडियम आपको प्रोवाइड करता है एओआर एग्जाम के लिए कि आपको ये केसेस तैयार करने हैं। तो हमारे समय में 83 केसेस दिए थे, बट 83 कुड हैव बिकम अ लॉट। नहीं पढ़ सकता प्रैक्टिकली इंसान। तो जब मैंने ये स्कोरा के और एससीबीए के लेक्चर्स सुने तो मुझे रियलाइज हुआ कि जुम्मा जुम्मा 30 to 40 केसेस ऐसे हैं जो बहुत ही इंपॉर्टेंट है। I took the plunge and the challenge that, for example, case of Nanda Bharti, everyone knows. It is of 1974 bygone era. I don't think it would be coming. This was my way of osmosis, and I know it worked out. So you must know how the cases go, what was the chronology of all these cases. But at the same time, I focused mostly on the last 10 years cases. And I covered almost 40 to 45 cases, learned it by heart, saw what was the trend from last 3 years. Nirbhaya's case was asked, some certain questions from review petition were asked, and I prepared it, and that really helped out because उसकी वजह से मेरा syllabus भी काफी हट गया कि मुझे क्या नहीं पढ़ना है। सो यू हैव टू बी वेरी स्मार्ट। आप होल्ड करके सब कुछ पढ़ोगे तो आप एक्चुअली नहीं कवर कर पाओगे एज अ रेगुलर प्रैक्टिशनर। सो आप एलिमिनेट करो, जो रेलेवेंट है सिर्फ वो पढ़ो। ये एग्जाम सिर्फ एलिमिनेशन का और एंड्योरेंस का है। दैट इज समथिंग दैट आई वुड सजेस्ट टू एनीबडी हु इज trying to attempt the exam.
Acha, great. So we have to learn the art of being minimalist,
Yes, yes,
right? And we
absolutely.
have to eliminate what not to do
Right,
instead of what to do.
right,
So Pragya, if we like what I understand is कि एक तो PYQs किए आपने last 10 years
right,
के,
right.
and you were constant with the Honorable Supreme Court's
Sure, that
official
were
website.
conducted. Yes,
हाँ जी। और फिर आपने कुछ वीडियो लेक्चर्स भी जिससे आपने बहुत बेनिफिट किया,
right.
राइट? एंड अपार्ट फ्रॉम दैट वाज देयर एनी अदर बुक और एनी अदर
Yes.
syllabus that you would
So,
recommend?
ma'am, I would say that it's always good to go back to the bare acts. So, bare acts, अगर आप पढ़ेंगे, Supreme Court rules, practice and procedure is the first paper. So, if you cram the Supreme Court rules bare act, I think 80% of the syllabus stands absolutely there. So, आपको basics पता होने चाहिए, and then उसमें fillers क्या डालने हैं, that would help. So, bare acts were very handy. There were certain lectures that were conducted by EBC publication called as the AOR examination. So I have my colleague Charu ma'am and another colleague Namit Saxena. They were conducting lectures. And at the same time, I was teaching at OP Jindal University. So they reached out to me and they said that why don't you take up 4 or 5 case laws and take the lecture. So I said, but I haven't cleared the examination. I'm attempting it this year. So they said that, but you are a professor. It would be good that at least your topics will be prepared. So I actually took it as a challenge. While I was attempting the paper, I started giving lectures for EBC. So that ways it
Oh,
helped.
great.
Yes, so that ways it helped me that my syllabus was also getting covered and I was giving lectures also. My entire PPT was prepared. There were good ideas. I could never forget those case laws. मुझे नींद में भी कोई वो पूछेगा तो मुझे वो case laws पता है। तो आपको ऑनलाइन काफी मटेरियल मिल जाएगा इस तरीके से। अटॉर्नी जनरल ऑफ इंडिया आर वेंकट रमनी सर्स बुक ऑन प्रैक्टिस एंड प्रोसीजर इज वन ऑफ द मोस्ट ब्यूटिफुल books that somebody could read by. I would say that it might not be very appropriate for exam sake because it has a lot of literature in it, but if you read it from past 6 months, then you have a lot of new things that you can add in your exam. तो अगर आपको 60 नंबर आ रहे हैं और आपने वो किताब पढ़ लिया तो आपको जो है 75 आ जाएंगे, क्योंकि वैल्यू एडिशन उसमें। एक बेसिक आंसर हर कोई लिख सकता है, लेकिन किस तरीके से उन्होंने एड ऑन्स किए हैं, इफ यू रीड इट। सो दीज आर अ कपल ऑफ, आई वुड से, आउटसाइड लिटरेचर देन व्हाट हैज बीन प्रोवाइडेड एट द सुप्रीम कोर्ट वेबसाइट फॉर योर एग्जामिनेशन। बट अमिडस्ट ऑल ऑफ इट सबसे जरूरी या सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट कॉम्पोनेंट है the registry organized lectures को attend करना. Those 8 lectures are very very important. So everyone
Acha, so they are given at the
they are
official.
put it वो होते, sometimes they are online, sometimes they are offline, but they are recorded and they are put on Supreme Court website. So people must follow it regularly, religiously, in case they want to attempt.
Acha, great, great. So how much, like, what is the total number of marks, and is there any negative marking?
So there's no negative marking at all. All the papers are of 100 marks each. And there can be MCQs, there can be one question of 20 marks and 5 each, something like that. It's a mix match. Yes, this is how it is. So every paper and every examiner may every year alternatively can make some small tidbit changes. But
So it's a subjective paper.
yes, it's a completely subjective paper.
Subjective paper. So which paper did you find more challenging?
Yes, one of the toughest, and actually checks the acumen of a litigation lawyer, and the paper in which सबसे ज़्यादा लोगों की back आती है, because if you're not able to clear it, then you are not able to clear it even in your fourth or fifth attempt. That is drafting. What makes it tough? It actually checks your acumen, because अगर आपको practice and procedure में certain section में क्या provisions दिए हैं वो पूछा जा रहा है, so anybody who's a habit of learning or cramming can, learn it and vomit it and can get a good score. However, in drafting, they give you very complex situations and questions. This has happened, that has happened. Now draft a SLP. Now,
Mm,
what SLP that as a lawyer that I get from my client, I usually take 7 to 8 or good 8 to 9 days to draft. If there's an urgency, I take at least 2 to 3 days, because you have to go through the entire document. Now you're sitting in a 3 hour examination. You have to draft three SLPs. You have to draft two counter affidavits. You have to draft one PIL. It's like, it's crazy. So you get 15 minutes. This is the only paper in which the examination tenure is of 3 hours and 15 minutes, because you get starting में 15 minutes to read through the question paper. Once you start writing, sometimes they give you a very complex situation. So just to understand the entire family tree or a civil suit that has been going on for 40 years, this party, that party, somebody was a petitioner in a lower court, then they became a
mm.
defendant in high court, then again they become an appellant in Supreme Court. So to understand of all of it, you need time. So grace of 15 minutes is given. So this is one of the toughest papers, maximum backs in this paper, maximum reattempts of people in this paper, because it actually checks your acumen. What types of question of law are you creating? What are the grounds that you're taking? What
Mm.
conclusion are you giving? So yes, this really checks your caliber. And it's a very, very good question paper. This, I would say, is the best paper for an AOR attempting person. It really checks your caliber. Yes.
So drafting. So I feel that it's a race against time, and time management is
Totally.
one of the most crucial thing in
Totally.
these
So I
exams.
would tell, out of 100 in all the four, out of all four papers, in three papers I got more than 80, which was a A plus plus. I was amongst one of the top scorers. But in
Wow.
drafting, there were five questions of 20 marks each, making it 100. After
Mm-hmm.
the fourth question, I saw the examiner standing on my head, and I was like, I don't have the strength. So I left completely those 20 marker question. I attempted the paper for 80, and every night I had the nightmare that, oh, I'm going to flunk. So 50 is the minimum marks. I got a
Mm.
56 in
Yeah.
drafting out of 80. But I was certain that if the examiner is decent and is marking me out of this 80, I think I should pass. That was very clear. So thank God I
So
got
great.
before. Yes, yes, yes,
So in spite of not completing the paper, you still qualified.
yes,
Wow.
yes, yes.
And the language of the paper is only
English,
English.
completely English. Yes.
Only English. There's
The
no
Supreme
other.
Court doesn't take vernaculars for practicing. Also, everything is only English.
Only English.
Yes.
Right. 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 So once you cleared the AOR exam, um, how did things change professionally?
It changes drastically. It brings you a lot of responsibility. Court is very particular about the fact that the AOR concerned must be present in the court. They do not file frivolous pleadings. They must cross verify. They must check as to what has been provided. So just because a client has given me this document and says, please file it, doesn't mean I'll draft and I'll file it. You have to cross check. You can't be filing frivolous pleadings. And there have been katina of cases where Supreme Court has reprimanded AORs, and they have, warned them that this is an unethical practice. You are not merely a person who is name lending, so that you're not merely a filing counsel. You must cross check the documents. You must see what has been provided. Affidavits are provided with false, perjurious information. So you have to be very cautious, because nowadays the judge is not going to call the client or the senior who's appearing. They'll just call the AOR, and we are given good bashing. So I'm very cautious. That way, second, the best or the most beautiful thing that happens is once you become an AOR, you're a designated Supreme Court advocate on record. Automatically, it's very prestigious. People across all the courts will start respecting you. Then
Absolutely.
your name goes in the wakalatnama. So any file that is there before the judge, your name is written. So they start knowing your name. Before that, you were probably a no one when you were young, but until unless you're like arguing in a very beautiful manner. But once your name starts appearing or popping up in front of them, then they know, acha, this is the lawyer who was filed. तो अच्छा ये प्रज्ञा पारिजात सिंह की फाइल है. So that's how they start. Okay, Miss Pragya, ये आप बताइए या ये आप बताइए इस तरीके से. एंड यू जस्ट फील कि आप सुप्रीम कोर्ट का एक हिस्सा बन चुके हैं.
So it increases your credibility.
एब्सोल्युटली एब्सोल्युटली.
Yes. And so is there a particular kind of cases that AORs handle?
Any case that is admissible in Supreme Court, I deal with all, I would say, because it's a appellate court. It could be original suit, it could be arbitration related proceeding, but it's mostly appeal based cases. So SLPs,
Mhm.
PIL, civil writs, criminal writs, all of it.
Okay. And how about the financial independence, Pragya?
I
Like, you
think
started practicing. So if we go to that era when you were in your early 20s,
see,
so
the good thing once you become an AOR and people start reaching out to you, say, see, for example, if there's a client who wants me to file a matter but does not want me to argue, they want a senior advocate to be arguing in this matter. So there are two, three ways to go about it. I draft, I file, and I lend my name. Second, I only do the filing. They get the drafting done. My only duty is to recheck it, put it in place, and get it listed. Third is that I draft, I file, and I argue. So there are different angles and facets to it. It totally depends upon what the person is saying. So sometimes if I have my own matter, I draft, I file, I argue. But in case if there are colleagues, friends, or people who reach out to me and they say that, ma'am, we want you to draft and file, but the arguing will be done by a senior advocate. So I get everything sorted and done. But at the same time, it's just that it's my duty to inform the lawyer concerned, to the Supreme Court advocate, senior advocate, whosoever is appearing, that hey, your matter is listed on so and so date. This is the listing number, whose name needs to be given in the wakalatnama. I become the whole sole person to give approvals. Any correspondence in that matter will be done wide me. So the good thing is that once you become an AOR, and for example, a minimum of 4 to 5 filings if you're doing in a month. And for example, I said lease, there are people who do it for free. There are people who are charging probably 5,000. अगर आप बहुत कम minimum on an average 15 से 20 हजार भी चार्ज कर रहे हो और आपने 5 फाइलिंग कर दी तो 1 लाख रुपए तो आपके महीने के अश्योर हो गए. Of course, it comes
right.
with its own expenses. आपके उसमें filing, drafting, court fees and all of it. But there is some amount of money per month that you will surely get after becoming an AOR. That's the thing.
And before that, and when while you're practicing in the lower courts, was
Uh,
there?
Assurance नहीं है. You might have one clients in a month, or you might have three clients in a month, and you might not have zero clients for the next 3 months. So it's very seasonal, it's very unpredictable. That's the thing. So there is some sort of consistency and regularity, and periodically clients do reach out to you and you file, and there is a certain amount that you do get. You know that this is certain chunk of money that I will be getting by doing so much filings. Now, there are AORs, high-end AORs who charge 1 lakh rupees a month. There are poor ones like me who sometimes do it for free for my friends because they've reached out that, hey, I'm not putting money from my pocket, but at the same time, I know that there is a certain amount that you get. I'm not going to quote it how much, but yes, it's pretty decent, I would say.
So I feel that it's just like a baby you have to keep feeding, and probably it will grow into
Yes,
a
it'll
smart kid
full-blown
one day.
elephant. Yes, yes.
Yes. So yeah, it's going to take a time, and
And your appearances in Supreme Court increases. You might be going to High Court, you might be going to District Court, but after becoming an AOR, you are very, very regular at Supreme Court. That becomes the main court where you are appearing regularly. You become a common face in front of the judges. You know this person is arguing. It's this person's matter. That's how the credibility increases.
And even I feel personally and professionally तो person grow करता ही है, but you become more charismatic and you become more confident once you
Confident for
enter.
sure. Confident
Because I
for sure.
remember when I used to go to Supreme Court, I also practiced like for a couple of months. So the kind of energy and the kind of aura that the Honorable Supreme Court has, it's totally a game changer.
It's
So you
again.
grow as a person.
Absolutely. It's a game changer for sure. I mean, you feel you're a different person. One good order and your day is made. See, the thing is, there's no guarantee. You may lose also. You might be on a losing spree or you might be on a winning spree. But the virtue that you get a platform where you're able to represent your client in a proper manner, it's immaculate. There is no comparison whatsoever.
Absolutely. So, what would you advise all the young lawyers or law students who dream of becoming an AOR someday?
Start practicing early. Sooner you get acquainted to the courts, the process, the procedure, better it would be for you. The AOR preparation is not very tedious, but it may become so if you take it at later stages of your life. You will get busy, age will not be on your side, your wrist will pain. And I'm not talking, this might sound funny, but this is the reality. So sooner you do it, after 5 years of practice, better it is. A lot of people have seen they'll fill the form every year, but they do not muster up the courage to give the exam. It's just an
Hmm.
exam. It's not a tough exam. Trust me when I say it, but at the same time, it definitely checks your patience and way to approach things. And during the entire process of attempting the AOR exam, you become very confident, you become very learned, you start reading all over again, which you might have forgotten with the daily business schedule. And more and more girls, more and more girls, we want more girls in litigation. Please, come what may, join this profession. It's beautiful. If you are a hardworking girl with or without backgrounds, there are people who would just, like push you up the ladder. And it's very safe. I would not say there is any, I will not say that there is no glass ceiling or that it's unsafe or this and that. It totally depends upon you. But my experience by far at Supreme Court has been bang on. It's very safe for women. It promotes women. It gives ample opportunities to women also.
Great, great, great. And looking back, is there anything that you would have done differently during the journey to become an AOR?
Um, and no regrets, honestly. Probably I wish my speed was better and I would have attempted that fifth question. My ranking might have gone up, but see, at the end of the day, you don't have to top the exam. All you have to do is clear the exam. There is no topper in this exam. So, yes,
Yeah.
as a person, also, I would say whenever I reflect back, I usually am not that person who takes a lot of guilt. I thank my stars for falling in the pit and again getting up and fighting back the seventh time. So I only learn. I only say thanks to the Almighty for giving me the opportunity to keep moving and keep walking ahead.
Wow, great. Thank you so much, Pragya,
Thank you, ma'am.
for taking out time to share your journey with such honesty and depth. Your story is just not inspiring, it's a reminder that the road after the law is a meaningful as we
It,
choose to make it.
Thank you, ma'am. I love it too. And it's the first time probably somebody asked me such in-depth questions pertaining to AOR. So yes, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, and so for all of you, the message is that at the end of the day, it's just not about what path you choose after law. It's all about how passionately you walk it. So
True.
whether it is advocacy, it is judiciary, it is, anything in uniform, it is IAS, something beyond, let your purpose be bigger than your title. So because law के बाद क्या जो भी हो वो आपका हो और पूरी शिद्दत से हो. So
Besha.
thank you once again. And if you have any questions, please comment in the comment section and we will definitely try to answer your questions. Thank you
Thank
so much, Pragya.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank
Thank you
you.
so much.
Thank you. Thanks. Thanks.